This is the Post Shift Podcast, your raw look at the hospitality industry.
Good morning, Post Shifters, and welcome to another Post Shift shot. It is Tuesday, which means it's a little bit of a... This one's going to be a short one, I think. I feel like it's going to be a short one, but you never know. So it's a nice little piece of advice for your ear holes about the hospitality industry. Today, I wanted to talk about playing the long game, and I think this is a very difficult thing for a lot of young bartenders to understand. The long game is something that is a necessary evil in the hospitality industry because the hospitality industry, regardless of how much structure we have in a restaurant or a bar, it is still very fluid. It is still very, it changes on a whim, which means that you have to learn a lot of things, and a lot of things aren't ever written down. It's a very common sense driven industry, but common sense can't be taught. And so you have these big gaps of knowledge that is really just spoken word knowledge. It's not knowledge that's written down, knowledge that can be accessed. Regardless of the books that are out there, the internet, everything, it is still a long game. But this actually lines up with a lot of other things in the hospitality industry, and playing the long game is a necessity because you've got to be planning 3 quarters ahead and instigating the decision, what could be put into play now. For me, I'm looking at my last quarter this year and planning for it now. Human Construct, which is the new branding and logo company that I started with Colin Parks, is really based around the aspects of branding and logo design that he does as the graphic designer, that SHC does. But I know that something that I've started now is not going to start paying off in changes till the end of the year at least, maybe even early 2020. Same thing with BC Spirits and a few other projects that I have. But going back to being a bartender, a lot of young bartenders come to me and like, well, I want to have what you have. I'm like, okay, cool, that's understandable, but I've been doing this for 22 years. The junket trips, the competition, you've got to put yourself out there and you've got to really work hard and sacrifice a lot to get to those sort of goals. And I think that a lot of the times things are rushed, and that is in part because of the automatic gratification of our society now. You have a supercomputer, like a computer in your pocket that is more powerful than what Ronald Reagan had to fight the Cold War. Like, this is an insane amount of technology in your pocket. And everybody has FOMO, fear of missing out, for social media posts, and that person's got this and that person's got that. And I think that creates this sort of like, this should be happening in 3 to 6 months. Like, I should be awesome at my job in 3 to 6 months, not 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the track. And I think this sort of rush mentality is sometimes not really broken down by the older generation. We sort of look at it like the millennials and so on and so forth. But really, we need to be very specific and very transparent about how much work it takes to get to a certain stage in your career. And this is in any career. This is not in just hospitality or bartending or serving or being a chef. I think the kitchen's probably got even worse than bartenders and servers. Like, I think the Food Network celebrity chef mentality has really ruined cooking in a big way for the hospitality industry, which is saddening because I think that culinary schools don't teach the realities of the industry in a way that can be perceived, because you've got to be careful, because if you tell the realities too much, you're going to lose people regardless either way. If you don't tell them, they don't want to do it because they're not a celebrity chef, so on and so forth. But like, be realistic with your goals, set your goals, and then figure out a way to work towards your goals. If you've just come out of culinary school and you're 21 years old and you're looking at opening a restaurant in the next 2 years, chances are you're not going to get there. Like, you need to really put your feet on the ground. You need how to cost. Like, I know so many chefs and so many bar managers who do not know how to cost cocktails properly, or do inventory properly, or know how to read labor properly. And these things come from experience, and these things take time, and they take time, and they take time, and they take time. Now, that being said, when I was younger, this is not an old concept for me. This is not something that I've just woken up with when I was 21 and gone, you know what, I can wait. I can wait for 20 years to get to a stage in my career. Fuck no. I wanted to get the prize straight away, and I worked really hard to get it. But I still look back and I'm like, God, you're an ignorant little fucking turd. And I think every time you have hindsight, 2020, you're going to look back and go, what the hell were you thinking? Like you jumped in too early, or you made that decision too rashly. But that's part of living. Owning your mistakes, which we talked about last week, is a big part of that. And I think at the end of the day, we need to set goals, own mistakes, backcast how you're going to get to that. If you want to be a head bartender at the Savoy in London, it's doable. But you've got to figure out exactly what you need to do. Ask people what you need to do to get to that stage. And then work extra hard at it. Goals aren't goals unless you work your ass off for it. If you want to open up a restaurant or a bar, but you're still happy to play Fortnite on your computer for freaking 30 hours a week, you're not really leaning towards your goals. Goals are something that you need to attain. Just like, and people are like, oh, well, you shouldn't have to work all the time. Work-life balance, which I've talked about in the past. But if you're an Olympian, if you're an Olympic runner and you want a gold medal at the Olympics, do you not miss training? No. If you are a ballet dancer and you want to do Swan Lake and the Bolshoi Ballet or whatever it's called, do you miss practice? Or do you wake up every morning and you fucking grind and you grind and you grind and you grind and then you go to bed exhausted? You get up the next morning and you do it again. Goals are something that if you set them, you can have a soft goal, you can have a hard goal. But what's the point of having a hard goal? This is one life. You have one life to live. You have one life to live. You have time on your side. If you're 22 years old, fucking go out there and get it. Grind it. Work in kitchens. Work in other second kitchens. Work 80 hours a week. Work 80 hours a week in 2 different kitchens to try and learn as much as possible. Don't just grind out menial work for the sake of grinding out menial work. Go after something you want. You know, like bar back at bars that are one step up from where you are. You may be a bartender for the last 5 years, but you may not be a cocktail bartender. You may be a nightclub bartender. Go work at a cocktail bar backing for free, stage, once a week, and learn the ropes. Learn it, learn it, learn it. The amount of free work I've done in my life to get to where I am is astounding. My wife hates it. I still do free work now to get a leg up because I know that the payoff is going to be way more. Now, long-term goals should come with incremental wins. So have a long-term goal, have incremental wins. If you have a short-term goal with a big win, you're going to have to sit on that big win for a long time. When I consult, it's all about the long-term incremental wins. Because at the end of the day, if you want one consulting gig every 3 months that pays you a big fortune, you have to sit on that fortune for a long time until the next big gig comes along. But incremental projects, incremental wins, long-term relationships is where it's at. I think that's all I have to say about freaking goal setting. The long game. Play the long game. If you're 22, 23 years old out there, you've got years. Years and years. I'm 40 next year. Like, I'm still hustling 100 hours a week. Like, I know that I've still got a good solid 25, 30 years in me. You know, 25, 30 years, I got 65, and then I'll have another 20 years on top of that. Well, God willing. But grind it out. Be happy. Have your goals. If you have your goals and you're not happy, then the goals that you have are not what you want. You're chasing something different. You're chasing someone else's goals. Your goals, long term, should make you happy. And if they do make you happy, then it's not going to seem like work. You know the old bullshit adage, like, if you do something you love, you're never going to work a day in your life? Great. Use it. Make sure the goals you have are your goals, in your head, from the voice in your head. Make sure that the goals that you're chasing make you happy. There's going to be sacrifices along the way, and it's going to be grinding, you're going to be eating shit. But at the end of the day, when you get that goal, you're going to be the happiest you've ever been. And on that note, that was a good end note. I'm Shawn Soole. Enjoy your week. Bye.
Thanks, Post Shifters. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you're listening, whatever platform you're on, give me a good rating, subscribe, listen along. I'm going to keep going. I really enjoy sitting down with people and learning where they're from, what they did, and how they got to where they were. So if you love it, give me a good 5 stars. If you don't, give me 1 and I'll try harder.